You know what's nice? Being able to complete a team. Working to collect the team. You're going out of your way to make sure that you've pre-ordered it, or you've managed to find it in the wild, or somebody gave it to you as a gift. But then you get that last member, and it just feels right. Welcome. I'm Blind Prime, and for today on More Than Meets the Eye, we're going to do a hands-on review of the robot mode of Transformers Studio Series 86 Swoop and compare them to the other Dinobots in their team. I am so happy that the team is complete, that we have our Dinobots. We finally have our Dinobots, and it took me a few extra months to get it, but I did manage to finally get a hold of it. And wow. I've got some things to say about it. It's not as good as it could be, but it's better than it once was. So, go below, hit the like button, share it, subscribe to assist me in reaching out to more blind people and more individuals out there so I can raise awareness for the blind and the visually impaired. And leave a comment in the comments below. Out of the Dinobot team, which has been your favorite? Your favorite robot mode, your favorite transformation, and your favorite dino mode. Like, they could be three separate figures, but let me know which ones actually did it for you in this team from Studio Series 86. Without further ado, let's get into today's review. So, this guy, he is kind of a mixed bag. I'm going to be honest with that. I think we should discuss the accessories first, so we'll take them away. And then we're going to get to the robot himself. Yeah, let's pull off your accessories from there. And now I need to find Grimlock and grab the sword that came with him. Here's Grimlock holding the cool sword. It's Grimlock's sword that he finally gets. Really fun. Let's pull it out. There we go. All right. Now, when it comes to accessories, I do wish that they had included maybe two more swords so that all the members of the Dinobots could have a melee weapon. I think that would have been okay. But I like the fact that these are hard plastic. They're not like weird rubbery plastics. Though I do wish that the little tab here rotated up into the sword. If it did that thing where that tab can transform and you push it up into the sword and it's flush with the sword blade, that would have been really cool in my opinion. And that's a missed opportunity for these swords because they've done it before with previous swords where they've given us the ability, especially I remember with Rodimus Primal, his sword, you can push that piece in, and that's really cool. And I wish that was the case here. We get two swords, and they're both very different from one another. The Grimlock sword, which I'm assuming is the Grimlock sword, it is longer, and the blade is a bit wider too. The Swoop sword is shorter, more like a short sword. It's got this weird piston on one side. It's like this sword can move around or something. And I do think you give us this cool detail here, but we can't like pick this piece up or pull the blade of the sword out and then fold this piece that makes up almost a third of the side of the blade. It could fold down and cover the location where the blade would pop out. And then we would have a little fun Energon blade we could unplug and plug back in. That would have been really, really cool. But there is some neat little effects on here. We got this little indented diamond shape at the middle of the blade. So it's a double-edged blade, and it comes to a point, and all these little edges form four separate points of a diamond that they put a recess for in the center of the blade. And that's really neat. Did they do the same here for Grimlock's? No, they did not. So Swoop's blade has a fun little indent into it. A little fun. I think I like Swoop's blade more. Grimlock's blade is very economical. It's sleek. It gets the job done. It's standardized. And then Swoop's blade looks like it has moving parts. Swoop's blade has fun little etchings into it. And Swoop's blade it's the funner blade in my opinion. I like Swoop's more, though Grimlock's is the more traditional sword blade. So that's the swords. They're pretty cool. I do wish that they had given us more though. And then we get these two little rocket launcher things so that Swoop can pretend to be a seeker. They're not null rays. They're missile launcher things. They come with this little missile that can unplug. And let me get my blast effects out real quick to showcase this, because I do like it when we get missile launchers that have separate missiles, because then we can do things like grab these blast effects here and unplug that one. There we go. Yeah, there we go. We get these two. This one can just sit off to the side. We don't need you. All right, so we're going to unplug that guy. Plug this one in there. There we go. Hey, plug in. Plug in, you silly, silly thing. There you go. Good job. Okay, and then you're going to plug into that part there. There you go. Ah, missiles launching. That's fun. Yeah, I like that you can do it. You can do it with both of them. It's just something fun you can do, and I really appreciate it. Sploosh, as Markiplier would say. I think it's Markiplier. Ah, no. Anyway, fun things that you can do with these accessories. I also like the fact that the missiles don't have a 5mm port hanging off of the side of them. That really did take away from prior missiles. Like, why is there a 5mm peg hanging off the side of the missile? They don't need that. And no, these don't need it. They fit in the blast effects much better without that 5mm peg hanging off the side. So these missiles are top notch. They also have some decent texturing. It's smooth, but there's little delta patterns etched into each side. So each side has its own little delta pattern, which the delta is a triangle with a rounded bottom, and that's what you get here. You get a delta. You get 4 deltas. That's cool. Let's put those back in there. Now for the rocket launcher itself, it does have waffling on the underside, which is a shame. Shame on you, Hasbro. Bad Hasbro. This is a leader class figure. We paid extra. Um, Even though it's Voyager scale, you could have given us some waffle, non-waffling bits in there. That's my biggest complaint with these. I like the other textures. There's the little rounded bit on each side that feels like Leia's weird hair from Episode 4, and then we have this line of sight thing that sticks out, and it goes down most of the way of the launcher. But then the majority of this launcher is just smooth. Wait, is it smooth? No, there's little etchings. There's some little patterns in here, and they sprinkled them in. So that's neat. There's barely any amount of this launcher that doesn't have some sort of texture applied to it. Oh, look, there's even a line right there. So I guess it's this little spot. Yeah, there's a spot the size of my finger that doesn't have any sort of texturing on it. But everything else on this guy has been textured and lined exceptionally well. I think that's fun. And I, as a blind person, really do appreciate the attention to detail there. I really, really do, and I appreciate you, Hasbro engineers, which I am hoping to meet at MegaCon. Which, by the way, let me know in the comments below if there's any MegaCon stores that buy Transformers that I should contact, because I want to sell a spare Deathsaurus and a Victory Saber, and I need the money to handle the convention. So I'm looking for somebody to sell them to. If you know of anything, leave a comment below and let me know. I'll also be talking about it on the Transformers for sale subreddit. So we're going to set those missile launchers over there, and let's get into the Transformer himself. Let's start from the feet and move our way up. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go over articulation. And he's got double jointed knees because of how he transforms, which is nice. I like that he's got double jointed knees. So they're not the best in the world, I'll be honest, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good. That is my first negative with this guy. One of my knees is very loose, and that's weird. This is a first mold, and there's already mold degradation. Come on, Hasbro. Ankle tilt like normal, big ankle tilt, full 90. And then the front foot and the back foot can fold together because of transformation, so you get a little extra articulation there. Now, he can rotate his core left and right a little bit, and I think it's awesome that he can even do that with the fact that his nose of his, his dino head folds down above his groin. So they managed to make it a thing. It doesn't spin 180 degrees, but we get a good amount there. Like if you were to consider that 12 o'clock, it can go all the way to right hip can go all the way down to 4, as left hip goes all the way up to 11, and then right hip can go all the way, can go up to 2 o'clock, no, 1 o'clock, and left hip can go all the way down to 7. I think that's pretty cool. Or 8. Yeah, that's an 8. So if you were to think of it as a clock, sadly, they do not touch 7, 6, or 5. Anyway, that is the hips. Decent hips there. The hip joints for the legs are very stiff and sturdy, and I like them. I like them a lot. I love those ratchets. The side is stiff, and that's important. You want that to be stiff. You want that to be really stiff, and that's a good thing. Siege Ultra Magnus still, that is still terrifying to me how loose those legs were. He would just do splits and knock everybody off around him. It was bad. Now we're moving up here. Let's see. He kicks forwards at 90. He can kick back at 90. And then moving up to core. Nothing in the core. But he does have butterfly a little bit. And because of the way the transformation works. So the core of him can actually kind of part and fold backwards, which I don't advise doing. The arm here can pop out just a little bit and move forwards just a little bit. You get just one ratchet click of forwards butterfly at the shoulder itself. And then, of course, you got maximum backwards butterfly, as Perspective In would say, if you pull back on the sides. So that's something. And then almost 360 degree, because that wing gets in the way, but you can get 360 degree with the arms at the shoulder, 90 degree moving up and down, and a single jointed elbow. Yeah, that is sad. That is really sad. Sad single jointed elbow. Now, coming over here, with the hand does rotate on its own little hinge. Then the head is on a ball joint. It's got some motion left and right, so it can crack its neck left and right. It can look down decently. It can look up decently. And it's got this fun little bit on the top of it. Then it's like a little control lever for the head. Yeah, bobble that head, Swoop, bobble that head. I like the little control lever for the head. So now let's get into how it feels, and we'll start from the bottom and work our way up again. And this guy is a bit sad on some things, okay? So starting at the bottom, we've got some major negative space going on here, a void of space for the feet area, and that's because they kind of fold together. But still, that's kind of par for the course for all the Dinobots. They've all had feet that are hollow. There is a 5mm port in the bottom of the heel, and the heel does kind of fold up. Now, the top of the feet are a different story entirely. We've got some decent textures of panel lines and something that feels kind of like the edge of a toe on Swoop's front of his foot. I do like that little blocky area, that tetrahedron. They've textured there right towards the end of the toes. That's a lot of fun. Moving around here to the back of his heel, we've got some fun textures of lines and panels going down the entire extent of the back of the heel. Don't you bend backwards at that knee. Bad Swoop. And so that's a fun bit of texture there. There's also, is that a vent? Do we get vent action going on at the tip? No, we just get some fun lines that are etched into there. Now the back of the leg has some kind of patterns etched into that deep reset area, but this is one of those negatives of the rest of the Dinobots have had something covering the negative space inside of their leg, a little panel that folds out from the side or something akin to that. And I am very sad that that is not the case here. I was really, really hoping that we would get something like that, a panel that you can open up and twist around and then fold in, and that would have it would have added to the transformation steps and made it a little bit more, less negative zone in the back, a little more put together, in my opinion. But that's the biggest negative on the legs, next to that one joint being a little loose. Now on the side of the leg, we've got some really fun textures here. Really, there's like some piston stuff. That is a big old connection point. It's fun. There's a lot of cool things that are just running down the side of his leg that are robot kind of rated. And that is a vent. We got some vents. We got a vent going on right there on the side of his leg, and that's cool. There is maybe a port hidden amongst all of these textures, maybe, or it's further down. There's a 5mm port somewhere on the side of his leg. Can't seem to feel it right now. So that's the leg here. Moving up, we've got the knee area where his little bitty little bitty pterodactyl feet are just resting upon his knee. They're just sitting there. I wonder if Swoop can actually move those toes independently. So, like, while he's standing, just kind of waiting to figure out what's going to happen next. If you hear clink, 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 and it's him, rattling his little fingertips on his little dino toes on top of his knee. He just I think that would be fun if he did that. That would be just a nice little extra character bit if he did that. Please, writers of the comic books, which I'm gonna hopefully meet up with on Friday for MegaCon. I'm gonna mention that to him. Like, I would like it if Swoop could move his little toes up and down to make a clicking noise as he's like impatiently waiting. Now up here at his thigh, we've got some more little fun textures going on here to come together to make a wonderful thigh. I do appreciate the fact that we get this stuff in the thigh. We get all of these fun textures, and we get this bit sticking out of the side, which you would think is for the to connect things to, but that's not the case. It's not a port. It's just something on the side of him, and I do wish it was a 5 millimeter port because we don't get very many robots that have a 5 millimeter port on their thigh that you can attach weapons to. Like, one of these swords that has these side connections. It would have been cool to have a 5 millimeter port right there on the side of the leg, on the thigh area, where we could have attached our sword for Swoop. That would have been neat, but that little spot there is not a 5 millimeter port. So that is definitely points taken off, in my opinion. Now, moving up here to his core, we've got on either side of his legs. He doesn't really have any skirts. This time he's not a robot that's known for having a skirt. It's just robot parts going all the way up. He's got the pterodactyl point for the head of the pterodactyl that comes down to the groin area. Around here on the back, we've got like the semblance of a tail, but that isn't really much of anything. And that doesn't fold out or anything during transformation. It just kind of gives you the semblance that maybe it would, but it doesn't. Though it does have that tiny little port in there as a flight stand, which you can access in pterodactyl mode, which is good because you want your pterodactyl flying, right? Now, around the back of him here, we've got a very sleek backpack for this guy. He's got a tiny little backpack that's got a port in it, so you can take one of the swords and you can port it to his back, so he can get at least that. But the port's really low, so you don't get the, maybe with Swoop's sword. Let's see. Let's try it with Swoop's sword. Where's your sword at, Swoop? Okay, that's your missile launcher. That's your missile launcher. There it is. There it is. Okay, so Swoop's sword here, maybe it has a better showing if I put it there. Does it pop up on the back? Yeah, it kind of pops up handle-wise, but not really far. But that's a place where you can store the weapons. Now, the wings that are folded up on either side and act as his flying wings do have some really great panel texture going on here. There's all sorts of little panels textured into this. There's a line of rivets there where Wheeljack riveted this thing together. Because remember, Wheeljack and Ratchet built these guys together, and with Sparkplug's help, and that's fun. And I like the rivets, and I like all the textures on these wings. They could have just been flat plastic, but no, they weren't having that. They gave us some really detailed texturing in the wings and the sculpt work there, which is excellent. 2 thumbs up from me to you, engineers. Now moving over here to the front, we've got this, each side, he's kind of mirror image on each side of the robot head. I do say there's vents. There's a vent on his breast on each side, and that's cool, like a Gundam or something. And moving down here, we've got some more little textures going on the sides. There's a lot going on this figure when it comes to texturing. You're going to, when you feel this thing, you're going to feel textures all over the place. And that's what we've come to expect from the Dinobots. This attention to detail, this small attention to detail. Now we have the head. It's very smooth. This is the one area where there's not as much texture, but I forgive it for what it is. It's the head of a creature, and it wants to be kind of smooth, and they've done that with the other Dinobots, so that's acceptable. Now we come up here to the head, and he actually has I think he's got a face mask. Yeah, he's got a face mask, I think, and that's a really nice nose. I like what they did there with the nose, and then we've got his glasses in there, because I believe all the Dinobots had glasses. I'm not exactly sure, but he's got a decent face. I like it and it works. And I, like I said before, he's got this little pterodactyl uh, big thing that sticks up on top of his head, and it's a lot of fun. Um, Now, the back of the head does have a few more textures to it, but that is just about it. This guy is a fun figure, and he's definitely a good figure to complete the team with. But there are some issues with him that I have, and now's the part of the episode where we go over those pros and cons. And the cons for him, in my opinion, are that his pterodactyl head is too fat. I think they could have slimmed up his main head here and slimmed the pterodactyl head, because these pieces that fold on either side of the pterodactyl head don't feel like they're really settling in there quite right. They each feel like they have a bit of a bend in them, like a slight angle. And I think that if the pterodactyl head was a bit thinner, then these two side panels, the sides of the body mode, would sit in there more flush and flat with the rest of the figure. I think that this pterodactyl head, being as wide as it is really messing everything up. And honestly, we just with the Gamerverse Starscream mold with how wide that thing is and its nose cone, and I figured it out. I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, what if they just have fisheye on their displays or something? So please, engineers out there, check your displays. Make sure that you have the fisheye setting taken off. You want to switch your fisheye setting off, and maybe that will help you with all these weird, uh, just things that are happening here. Because this is too wide. These side pieces don't fit in properly because this center head is just a little too wide. It's like you designed all this for the center head to be a little thinner, and somehow in production the head got fatter. You probably don't even know how that happened, because this head that his robot head could have just been a little thinner, and we wouldn't have minded, and that would have worked out pretty good. But that's the biggest negative I have on him. Is that, and then the back here where the waffling is occurring on the back of the legs, and then the worst of them all, there's waffling on the back of the arm of the bicep. His triceps are waffled, and like, really, you couldn't have filled that in. So those are my negatives. The everything else about this guy is a positive. The sculpt work is sublime, and the way he feels in the hand. They made him with good plastics. He feels strong. He feels sturdy. Everything about this guy is a pleasure to the fingertips. That's why I'm going to be giving this Dinobot a B plus. He deserves a higher grade, I admit, but there's some slight flaws to him, and I just can't ignore them. So a B plus because he does get to finish the team out. Now tune in next Prime, where I will be going over the Transformer in my the transformation in my Blindformers episode, and later on I will also be doing a nice, lovely kind of a comparison thing where I bring out the rest of the Dinobots, and we're going to compare sizes of this guy to the rest of the Dinobots. I think that's going to be more of a YouTube short, but stay tuned. I will be covering this figure over the week, and of course, I will be at MegaCon on Friday at the Hasbro room at 11 a.m. for the Transformers panel, so we can all learn together what is going to be the new Transformer. Now, I'm not going to be doing it live. I've tried and failed at that. We will just be recording clips and little videos throughout my MegaCon journey on Friday, and I will be uploading those periodically throughout the week, the next week. Here's hoping I get to meet as many voice actors as possible. I'm spreading the word that I want to see more audio description in animation, and I want to see more audio description, or hear more audio description, I should say, in anime. And I'm hoping to be able to meet with as many voice actors as I can to spread the word that way, get them to put, to talk to the people that direct these things and manage these things and edit these things, and try to get them on board with introducing more audio description, because I would absolutely love to continue following One Piece. I followed it since 1999. And now that I've gone blind, I'm missing things, and I really need some audio description for my One Piece, because I've been following it for so long, and we're so close to the end, and I need to know what happens next, and I can't. Last I left off, before I went blind, the ship, the Thousand Sunny, popped up on the other side of the wall. And it was surrounded by Navy ships. And I'm like, oh, things are going to get real. And then I went blind, and Funimation stopped making the audio, the English audio, and now that they're back, they're not making audio descriptions. So that is something I'm going to be doing on Friday. Is I'm going to be talking to as many of them as possible and pushing for audio description so that we can all get our One Piece audio described and we can go back over it and enjoy it from the beginning till the end. Thank you again for watching. I've been Blind Pride. It's too good of a day, so Cream the cat has been sleeping in his sandpit outside. But he shall be back next Pride. Until next Pride, bye bye for now.